Warning. This show may contain offensive content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Engines were ablaze, cameras rolling hard in a wild twisted maze. Levers stealing fire, the open roads are thrown. Back in life televised, we're breaking every bone. Adrenaline surges, brace for the fall. Hitting it with HardWire, hear the engine scream. Living fast and reckless, this is our family dream. Riding hard, never slowing in the spotlight we shine. A biker's faithful journey, this life is ours divine. Hitting it with HardWire, the crowd screams the name, chasing down the shadow for addicted to the fame. Chains rattling loud, the brotherhood's alive. Every episode gets better, we're here to survive. Some dust till dawn, we're the kings of this road. Hitting it with HardWire, hear the engine scream. Living fast and reckless, this is our family dream. Riding hard, never slowing in the spotlight we shine. A biker's faithful journey, this life is ours divine. On the edge of chaos, we embrace the fear. Hitting it with HardWire, we'll always be here.
Hey, welcome to Hitting It with HardWire. What's up, everybody? I was trying to get the Rumble stream going there. I don't see it. Usually I can see it. I might have screwed it up. That's all right. Nobody fucking watches from Rumble anyway. Doggone it. I hate when things don't quite go right. So how's everybody doing? Happy Easter. Happy Easter and happy Resurrection Day, or what, He is risen. Believe, what is it? God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, so whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. That John 3:16. I had to memorize that in Sunday school when I was a kid, and that's probably the only one I remember by heart. But it's a good one to remember. It is a very good one to remember. Let's see if I can get this damn Rumble stream going here. I don't know what's... Oh, you have to agree every time that you don't have an exclusive agreement with some other streaming service. And now I think it's working. I don't know. I usually think it's not working, and then I go on there and the show's on there. So I tell you, it don't make any sense. What's up, Potato? And Scrap Iron and Frank and my wife from upstairs. She was up there making apple pies earlier. How about that? I haven't tasted one yet. Last time she made one, it tasted pretty good, but the apples were a little crunchy yet. And I have trouble chewing them if they're a little crunchy yet. So I told her to make sure that they are they're cooked all the way, the apples, so I can chew them okay. You know, when you get old, you have issues like that. Oh, I was tuning into Potato Show earlier, and it made me think of a YouTube video that has been popping up on my YouTube, and I have not watched it yet. And I'll give you almost 100% certainty that it's probably stupid and bullshit. But we're going to watch it anyway. Why not? Apple pies are my favorite. I like apple pies. Cherry pie is okay-ish. I don't really care for pecans, so pecan pie is not my thing. Strawberry pie is pretty good. Cheesecake in any of its forms is always good. My grandma used to make us cherry cheesecake all the time when we were kids, and she made a very good cherry cheesecake. It wasn't normal cheese. It was like, I don't want to say it's not normal cheesecake because it's still normal cheesecake, but she would take the cream cheese and a bunch of whipped cream and whip it together so that it was real fluffy, and they were really, really good with like a graham cracker crust. What's up, Warren? So loud. I think I forgot to say hi to So Loud. He was like the first one in the room, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry about that, man. Hope everybody's doing good. I got to work on a bike for a little while yesterday. Didn't get it done. I have that module out of the bike that I have to put in there for the stereo, and it didn't fit where I wanted it. So we took it and kind of built we pulled the aluminum case off the top of it. It generates a good bit of heat, so I didn't want to take all the aluminum off of it. So I left the aluminum part where the transistor sits on there, left the bottom on there, and I put a new top on there and shrank it down thinner, try to get it to fit in. And I got it in there now. And I told the old lady, I said, I soldered the RCA wires the length I wanted them directly to the board. I said, if it doesn't work, because I didn't test it. I said, if I messed it up somehow, and I took electronics in school and stuff, and I used to tinker with it a lot when I was young, in high school. So, you know, I'm pretty good with soldering. But I said, if it doesn't work, I hook it all up and it doesn't work, I'm ripping it out and throwing it in the trash. There's no troubleshooting it. It's got hot glue all over it and shit now from trying to squeeze it in this other case. I said, yeah, if it don't work, it's not I'm not gonna be able to figure out why it doesn't. The only thing I don't like about it is the one set of RCA cables that I snipped and soldered that were stiff, and would have been better if they were more flexible. What's happening, Warren? How you doing today? It's been a lazy weekend for the most part. My grass is getting to the point where it's about ready to start being mowed. So, I mean, summer's getting here. It's getting here. It's taking its good old time, and it's really switching back and forth between it's nice one day and cold as hell the next day, because Ohio is bipolar during the spring and the fall, especially in the spring. You had a heart attack. I'm worried. I don't want to have one of those, but I have like a whole lot of what do they call them, indicators or whatever, that say that I could, like being overweight, fucking pre-diabetic. I'm a vapor. Just about everything you could think of that means I should worry about it. Uh, but you know, you only live once. You don't get through life if you spend every day worrying about things that could happen. I need a workout buddy though, or something. Somebody I can go to the gym with or something. I want a pool because, like I say, I like to go swimming. Summer's coming, man. Maybe we'll go do some swimming. I'll find a place to park the camper where they got a pool or something. The one place where we go camping all the time has a lake, but I don't believe it or not. We went a bunch of times last year, and I don't even know if they have a fishing lake or a swimming lake or anything. We just kind of hung out at the camper all weekend. We didn't really. Uh, Sometimes they have karaoke on Friday nights. I was like, oh man, we gotta do that because I enjoy me some karaoke. I've been wanting to get on the potatoes. He has panels every Thursday. On if you're not subscribed to his channel, subscribe. It's a good time over there. Uh, Wanting to get on his panel, but he does it through Discord, and I don't know. I just something about Discord. I just don't like it. I don't know why it rubs me the wrong way. I don't really like Discord. Maybe if it were a little easier to get around in or something. I don't know. It's not super complicated. I figured it out the one time, but you know how us old people are. You're just set in your ways. And if it rubs you wrong and you don't like it, it's really hard to change your fucking mind. It is. It's all about it. I just don't like it. Yeah, my old lady wants to be my workout buddy, but I know the kind of workout she wants to do. At any rate, we're gonna watch this. It's probably crap, but he was talking. Potato there on his show was talking about the Shroud of Turin, and it's because it's Easter, and this has been popping up in my feed on YouTube to watch. So you're gonna watch it with me. You love these days whenever it's just
We
kind
are
of
excited
go
about
along.
this some new findings that you've talked about regarding a Shroud of Turin. And we are in the midst of Holy Week right now. And as we are focused on Jesus' death, burial, and his triumphant resurrection, uh, you have some great insight that we want to be able to highlight here on this Holy Shroud and the Holy
And then we'll
Fire.
talk about it a little bit,
But
what I think.
let's just talk about God's
I'm sure I'll
calling card a
comment.
little bit, and then some of the new findings
I
that has
can't keep
come
my
out
mouth shut.
with
Always
DNA
comment.
evidence that has been revealed. Let's talk about that. So, where did this shroud come from, LA?
Well, the shroud, this is what it looks like to the naked eye. So if you stand about 6 feet away from it, you get this
At
very
this point, I
faint
don't think there's
outline
anybody
of
that
a
hasn't
man
heard of it.
that has been crucified. That seems to be pretty obvious.
I think it's more of a
repose, he's
Catholic
dead.
thing.
So that's the shroud is covering him. And
The
for people who
whole
call
bunch
this
of holy
a
relics
medieval
thing.
forgery, then let's walk through this. So let's say it's 15th century, 13th century, whatever, right? So the forgery.
But I do remember watching uh, a show where they made a big deal out of it. They clipped a corner of it and they carbon dated it. And I did some research on carbon dating, and it's not nearly as accurate as what they, originally thought on certain things. And it only works like well under certain circumstances. And the Shroud of Turin, it has been shown to have been repaired multiple times over the years. And they think that the chunk that they got then was a repaired section, and it's since been, I think, been tested again and tested period accurate with a different type of carbon dating. Yeah, I watched one a little bit where they was talking about it, but whenever I watch or don't, I don't say watch, I listen to it usually on my YouTube. I set my phone. That's why a lot of times, sometimes when you guys are talking to me, uh, I don't always see your messages because during the week I'm usually at work at my desk, and I set my phone in the corner of my desk on a little charger that you sit your phone on, and I can't be staring at my phone, while I'm working. So I don't always see some of your messages, but I'm usually listening to the Rogan, and I'll look at it, like look down every once in a while and look at it. But I hear every once in a while I hear him. A lot of Joe Rogan shows lately, though, I've made it partway through it and I got bored with him. He hasn't had a ton of really interesting uh, people on the show lately. I usually like the more scholarly people that come on the show. I watched Andrew. Fuck, what the hell's his last name? From the Crucible, Andrew Wilson, I think. I watched his show, but if you watch any of his like debates and things that he talks about, he didn't touch on anything new on Rogan. It was like rehashing everything he ever talks about. So it wasn't really all that interesting. But it was really neat to, see a YouTuber like him, even though he's one of the biggest YouTubers, uh, get on there. And then I tell you, I watched his wife's, when his wife went on Rogan. I tried to show it to my wife, but she wouldn't watch it. Very interesting about the whole women's rights thing over the years. And I found that very interesting and surprising. A lot of the things I didn't know, but she said a lot of the things I've been saying forever about the women's rights movements causing a lot of the modern day problems. Uh, and then I, asked my wife. I like to be right, and most of the time I am, but that's kind of in the way that I talk about things because I don't talk about things that I don't know things about, and I don't say I know something unless I know that I know it. Otherwise, I say I think or I heard, kind of might. I'm careful about the way that I say things, and I don't say I know something unless I do know it. So that's if you talk the way that I talk, you typically are right about most things because you only talk about things you know a lot about. So it's easy to be right. And I give advice to people all the time. I'm usually right. It's just because of experience, things I've been through. I've been through a lot of shit, seen a lot of things, seen a lot of life situations between me and other people. Been almost any scenario you could think of, I've run across it, and I've seen the goods and bads, and I can give people advice, and I'm usually right. I don't remember that guy. I seen a guy. I didn't watch that whole one. I don't remember. There was something going on that I ended up having to walk away from it. I'll have to go back and watch it though. All right, let's go back to this. I'm getting sidetracked.
Would know that somehow a couple hundred years later, photography would be invented. And so when you would take a picture of the shroud, this is what you would see. This is the 1898 Secunda Pia picture of the shroud. Secunda Pia is there in 1898. He's got the old wooden box camera with the hood over it, and he moves the camera up close to the shroud, which is being displayed in Turin, Italy, like this. It's not like that; it's displayed lengthwise. So Kunapia is in there with the glass plate, and he's developing this thing. And as he's looking at it, this is the image that he sees.
Hmm.
And he almost literally he almost drops the glass plate. He's completely startled, and he writes about this, and he thinks to himself, I'm the first person in 2000 years to see the face of Jesus. So the DNA that was discovered on the shroud recently doesn't really match anything in the gen banks. It's like, what are we looking at here? um, the shroud traveled out of Jerusalem into, and you can get the pollen. This is another incredible study. So let me get this straight. A guy who's going to make this forgery is going to get a linen shroud and then have it travel from Jerusalem into Turkey through Europe and then finally in Turin, Italy. So this is a work of Ray Rogers, who was part of a Shroud of Turin research project team that went over there in 1978. And Barry Schwartz, we interviewed him in our.
It's hard to watch things with me sometimes because I pause it so much. I get things pop in my head, but I equate a lot of like what was it? Conquerors burnt down. What was it? The library over in the Middle East that had a lot of holy relics in it and different things years ago. And a lot of things have been lost. That's one thing conquerors used to always do, and they did that. I believe in parts of the Middle East, like parts of Egypt, where when they conquered a land, they would destroy all their monuments. And there's a lot of, I think, Egyptian monuments and monuments throughout the Middle East that was conquered because the Middle East has been conquered a bunch of times. And that's so much what I can't help but equate what the modern left is wanting to do now, destroying our monuments and all those things. And what you got to realize is you can't erase history, and it does no good to do things like that. And to say, well, you shouldn't even talk about certain things, it's just horrible to me. I find that so horrible. You can't forget history. You can say that's a horrible time in human history, and then talk about it. Slavery, the Holocaust. There's a lot of dark times throughout history, and we are very fortunate to live in some of the best times where there's the least amount. There's always really bad things going on all around the world at any given time. But we've lived through periods of the most peace, the least amount of really bad things going on in the world. And I lost my train of thought. That happens too. I swear I got ADD and CRS and all those acronyms. Can't remember shit. But I have an excuse. I have my head injury from whenever I was 24. See, I showed you guys my scar before, but yeah, and I blame that. That's my excuse. I actually did. It was actually shown that I had some brain damage, so I use that. I use that as my excuse. I lose my train of thought frequently, and I'm just retarded. Anyway, back to the show
Barry
because it's so
and
exciting.
Dame Isabel
This guy's
Pixick,
fucking
both of them
boring
are
me
gone.
already.
But we had the film of them interviewed, over a decade ago. So we used that in our film so people would see what Barry Schwartz was saying and Dame Isabel Pixick, who is a world-class muralist and a particle physicist. So she's got a brain that's like, beyond anything I could think of. But I digress as usual. So Ray Rogers has this whole study on the pollen
Mm.
because he's there with the 1978 Shroudatory Research Project team, and
Get to
he's
the
taking
fucking point
samples off the
already.
shroud of the pollen, and he's identifying, oh, this is from this plant to this plant, and he traces where the shroud has been. One of the most astounding discoveries with the pollen is there's pollen that is only found
Oh,
in and around Jerusalem right around Resurrection Sunday when
trying
the
to tell a
flower
joke.
opens up.
Hmm.
So how does that work? And we now know,
It's not
latest
me. I'm not
forensic
editing
evidence with the
anything.
shroud and the cloth, that it's consistent with burial shrouds 2,000 years ago, roughly 2,000 years ago. So the image remains completely enigmatic, never been duplicated before, and people make a big deal about the carbon 14 dating, which, by the way, in our film, we talk about this. So they were supposed to, the team that was over there were protocols that were set up with were in Turin, Italy, And the team was supposed to go over and take 3 samples from the shroud. Let's say sample 1 here, sample 2 here, sample 3 here. But that's not what happened. And Barry Schwartz was adamant about this. When they were ready to take the samples, the guys in the black suits come in, clear everybody out of the room. 3 hours later, they go, "Well, we've changed the protocol. You can take 1 sample from here, the corner of the shroud." So they do.
Who were the guys in the
And
black coats?
Hey, what's up, Mark? I closed the chat, uh, the thing that brings the chat up, and for some reason, it wasn't reading one of the two, vertical or horizontal. Mark, and I just seen whatever side you guys are on pop up when I closed it and reopened it. So your chat should start coming up now. I apologize for that. I don't know what was going on. Usually I don't bring it up until after I hit go because it like auto detects the stream that when it starts going. And it should be working. All right, let's get back to
well, that
Captain
remains,
Snore.
I don't know.
But they literally
But-
had some agency people.
Oh, they
come in.
yeah.
Okay.
Get back
Yeah,
to
they
the snooze
muscled
fest.
everybody out of the room. They changed the protocols, which had been in place for at least a year, probably 2 years. Everybody had agreed on
It's like
them.
being in school
and
again.
so
Listen
they
to this
went in,
motherfucker.
and they took 1 sample from the shroud, and they had it tested at a couple of different labs. Guess what? Medieval forgery. Shroud proven fake. Blah 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 blah. Not so fast, citizen. So enter Joe Marino, who once again we interviewed. He's like one of the world's leading experts in the shroud. He actually, when Barry Schwartz passed away a couple of years ago, he gave shroud.com to Joe Marino. Joe Marino has done a deep dive on the shroud, written books on it. He appears in our film. So he was a monk in a monastery. True story. This guy's a monk in a monastery, and he's online, and he's got like a chat group or whatever with people who are interested about the shroud. And so he meets this woman online, and she's really interested in the shroud, and they strike up a friendship, which leads to romance, which leads to Joe Marino
Quit
leaving the
clicking on it, shit.
monastery and marrying her. Okay.
I'm clicking
So
on
this is a
stuff,
true
trying to
story
find that damn
I'm about
chat.
to tell you. So I'm interviewing Joe Marino for the Shroud film. I'm interviewing him, and I'm not connecting the dots in my own life with Joe and the relationship with Joe and his wife who passed
Hey,
away
what's up, Wick?
just a few years ago.
Mr. Wickmoto. The
We're
famous
talking about
or
the
infamous.
carbon 14 dating. And then Joe says, my wife and I wrote this paper, and in the paper we posited that the
I like
shroud
nerdy stuff too,
sample
but
was taken to do a C14
something about this
dating
guy's
was
bored
taken
me.
from a piece of the Shroud of Turin, which had been patched, rewoven. Okay. So when I heard this a decade ago on my show, my first show,
I'll tell you though, if you're this stuff as a Christian, I find these things interesting, but I don't. No Christian should need this. We don't need proof. We know in our hearts. We feel God's presence around us every day. We know the truth. We don't need proof. I mean, it's kind of cool. I won't lie, it's kind of neat, but I don't need it. You don't have to show me proof. I feel it every day. You'd be crazy to tell me ever. You go out every day, any day. Go out in the country, in the countryside, sit on the riverbank fishing, go to the lake on a nice sunny day, look around, and tell me God did not make the world, and I'll call you a fucking liar every fucking time. It's amazing, and you can't help but feel it, and you just know it. Okay, I'll get back to it. This guy's boring, but I'm way more boring.
and I interviewed him. I didn't make the connection till I was actually interviewing him 2 years ago. So it had been like, 7, 8, 9 years since I had, and I didn't put this together. Well, here I am with Joe Marino. His wife did the paper on it, and then enter Ray Rogers, who was the Shroud of Turin textile guy, who read the paper and said, "I can disprove this in 10 minutes." So he goes down. And he has a sample left over from the C14 dating, and he's got what's called the Reyes sample, which was right next to it. He's got both. And he goes in, and sure enough, he sees, oh my gosh, it's not the same material. It's cotton rewoven into the linen. It's a patch job. And so this goes essentially viral. And there are some um, honest journalists who followed it. And but even now, Shroud of Turin proven fake. If you go on Wikipedia, that's what you see.
Mm.
That's what you see, which is so. This is why you can't trust anything, because there's the evidence. It was proven that and Barry Schwartz said this is 1980, 82 when they came up with the C14 dating, the results. There was £1 million, which is a lot of money back then. 1 million pound donation to Oxford University for proving the shroud was fake.
Hmm.
I'm not making this up, John. I'm not. I wish I was. I'm not. So, there I am with Joe Marino, realizing his wife and Joe wrote the paper, and now Joe's got shroud.com. I mean, it was just like an A cushion shot, and, putting the whole thing together, because that paper that Joe and his wife created, that changed everything. That led Ray Rogers to go down and look at his samples and go, oh my gosh, she's right. They're right. It's a patch job. And here's what's pernicious about it. When Pope John Paul was alive and in his daughterly, he was fading, and people, we don't even know whether he knew what he was signing. So he signed something that allowed this German textile expert to go in and repair the shroud.
Mm.
So she goes in, get this, and she vacuums the shroud.
Oh,
For me, if that's not deliberate, I don't know what is. So and then she stretches it. So the image is now 2 inches, I think. I think it's 2 inches, might be a little more, 2 inches longer than what it was. So now she's distorted the image. You can't make this stuff up.
so LA, with the new findings though that you just reported about recently, there's been new DNA evidence found on the shroud. How did that DNA evidence get found, and what were the findings when it comes to the different types of DNA that were there?
So what's interesting about the DNA evidence, it proves that the shroud's origin does come from the Middle East. They talk about there's blood from the group of people called the Druze people. So this is, just so you guys know, this is the most studied artifact on the planet. I mean, it is. This thing has been looked at, and it's never been duplicated. And it just amazes me how new studies show over and over again that this thing is not a fake. And we think this is conjecture on our part, but we think this is where it ties into the holy fire. So we know that Moses sees a bush that burns but does not burn, holy fire. We know that the pillar of flame that guides the Israelites, holy fire. We know that the tongues of flame over the apostles' heads, holy fire. The flame that comes out of the Ark of the Covenant, holy fire. So it seems like this is something that not is only biblical, but this is a way in which God manifests a flame that burns but does not burn. So, according to, is a book by a researcher called Harris. The guy's name is Harris Scarlakidis. I'm probably butchering the last name, and he talks about the holy fire in Jerusalem, and originally, according to Gregory of Nyssa, the 3rd century, the apostle Peter saw the holy fire on Resurrection Sunday over the tomb. So you say, well, where is the tomb? How do we know? What kind of archaeological evidence do we have that where he was buried? So we get into
Him,
this in Holy Shroud, Holy
don't click
Fire.
that button.
There are 3 choices. In my opinion,
That's not the
the
button
Mount
you
of
want to click.
Olives
Don't click
does
that
not
button.
work at all.
Ah,
That's my opinion.
or that one.
And our archaeologist in the film, Mondo Gonzalez, says the same thing. So we
Computers.
dismiss that right off the
Don't
bat.
click that button
So
either.
the second contender is the Garden Tomb, which I went to when I was in Israel, and I avoided the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Big mistake on my part. But Mondo comes in, that whole area, there are first and second century tombs throughout that. So it's a very dialed in. It looks like the real deal. Right next to it, the bus station, there's like something that looks like a skull, but that's, nobody knows, right? But the one that we believe is, and we talk about this in the film, is the real deal. Um, when the Romans came in and crushed the Bar Kokhba revolt in AD 130, AD 135, right around that window of time. So they come in and they completely, raise everything. And they build a temple of Jupiter over the Temple Mount. Okay. And they build the temple of Venus over the location.
Oh, and the Rumble is
where
working.
the crucifixion site was and the resurrection.
Some of you
site.
guys need to go with
So
Rumble.
when Constantine
And just leave a
becomes emperor
comment
in
or
the
two
4th
so I can
century, Christianity
make sure the
becomes
chat
state
works
religion.
over there.
Helena or Helena.
I don't think anybody's
goes
ever
down to
even
Jerusalem. She
like.
makes a
I don't even think I've
pilgrimage,
had one
and she
person
goes
view
to
my
the
shit on
locals and
Rumble.
says, "Where was it?" And they
So
go,
don't ask me
"See
why I
that
do it.
temple of Venus over there? That was built on the site." So they go in, 4th century, they deconstruct brick by brick, and they don't use anything. They cart off all the material someplace else. They find the crucifixion site, and they find the tomb, and that's when the holy fire starts to manifest. And Harris Skarlakidis' book, as well as others, talk about the fire manifesting. I'll tell you one story. Saladin, who was, this huge figure in Islamic war
Did he say
stories and
Saladin?
all this other stuff, saw the holy fire.
So is that a paladin
he
that eats a
went
lot of
there
salad?
to
Saladin?
disprove it, thinking that, well, this is just nonsense. The holy fire comes in and lights up all the lamps. So there was another sultan who was in control of Jerusalem, who had lead wicks put into all the lanterns in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So there's no way these things are going to light up. Guess what? Holy fire comes in, all the lamps light up. So he has them extinguished, puts more lead in there, and they light up a second time. He did it 3 times, finally just gave up. So a lot of Muslims
He was
were
Middle
learned
Eastern.
when they would see
Jesus
this.
was.
And it is a
So
fascinating.
I don't think they're known to be real
miracle
tall.
that is happening, and it happens the Saturday before Easter. Is that correct? So is it which
Contrary
which date
to
does it actually coincide
a lot
with?
of
Because I
popular
know
belief, he wasn't
Easter
white or
doesn't
black
go by the
or woman
Passover
or whatever
doesn't go by the
fucking people
Jewish
say.
calendar, where we know where Passover is,
A lot of
and
modern
things kind of move around. The Jewish calendar is
depict him as
based
a
off,
white guy. He wasn't a
based off
white
of
guy.
based off the moon. The Gregorian calendar is based off of the sun and the seasons. Which day does that go off of, LA?
This year it'll be this coming Saturday. So Resurrection Sunday is this Sunday.
Yeah.
So the holy fire will take place.
Like I say, yeah, Jesus would have been Middle Eastern. When he comes back, nobody knows what he'll be. He could be Chinese. He could be black. He could be, any race. It's not important. Race isn't important at all. It doesn't. There's no reason why it would make any difference. When he comes back, what he'll be. He's, God. God's what is it? How does it work? God's incarnation as a human on Earth. But it does what his skin color is makes no matter. At any rate, there I go again, getting distracted.
Whether it's televised or not, I don't know. And it's funny. I mean, all they would need to do is put a camera in the eticule and show how this thing manifests. I mean, you would think that they would just do that, right? But we can't do that because it's a matter of faith and blah 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 blah. Excuse me. Put the camera inside and clear up the matter once and for all. I mean, what's wrong with anyway? That's just typical of all the hierarchy and the games that are played. And Yeah, yeah.
So, one of the things that I want to kind of leave this conversation with, because this is so important that people understand that, LA was talking about the holy fire, that, the bush that did not burn, they gave different examples of that, the fire on the disciples' heads, on Pentecost. But when Jesus, let's put the holy shroud and the holy fire together. Uh, and so, how did this image come to be? And you're postulating that it was holy fire that made that image come to life.
What's interesting is when you look at the shroud, and this is only the frontal view. So the shroud is wrapped around the body. There's a dorsal view, and what Dame Isabel Pixick shows, they're not connected. They're two separate events. So she theorizes that time stopped. There was a singularity for a brief moment in time. The shroud, the body was levitated. The shroud was pulled tight, right? The shroud was pulled tight like that, and the body dematerialized in infinite points of light, which created the two separate images. Because this image has nothing to do with the dorsal image at all. They are not joined together. They are two separate, there's a lot of, we don't know, John. We honestly don't know. But what we do know, and also this is the work of the Shroud of Turin Research Project. I remember
Right
there was
on.
three-dimensional imaging. So
Be nice.
when you take a portion of the shroud, you get
It would
three-dimensional
be
imaging
nice.
on the shroud. How is that done? A medieval forgerer,
Mm.
and there's three-dimensional imagery. There's no paint, there's no ink, there's no stain, there's nothing on it. The image is very extremely faint, extremely faint. But when you photograph it, you get this. Look at the face. Look at the scourging.
Hmm.
The scourging was, we read about he was flogged. We have no idea. The scourging is incredibly brutal. I mean, enough to kill him. And this is why normally they would scourge someone lightly, but Pilate has him scourged heavily in hope that the people would release him,
Hmm.
because Pilate didn't see anything wrong. I washed my hands of this whole thing, right? So what's interesting is, he was
Come on,
scourged
man.
within
Get
an
on
inch.
with
I'll
it.
show you to you again. He's scourged between an inch of his
Get to
life.
the important
And you've
stuff.
got to remember, see these marks all in through here? They're on the backside too.
Hmm.
They're not just on the front. And just so people know, I didn't even realize this till much later. Jesus is on the cross and he's completely naked. He is bearing our shame, which is, that in itself is just, we don't what? He is stripped of all his clothing when he's whipped. That's the first thing. Then they put the robe on him, and then they yank it off, which had to be incredibly excruciating. And he's hanging on the cross without a stitch of clothing on anywhere. So all these, I get it. The iconoclastic pictures that we see, the paintings, the sculptures. He's always
Something you got to think about, though, is back then, a lot of people didn't have the proclivities. I think that's the proper word. The awkward weirdness towards nudity that they do today. Not as much, anyway. I mean, they wore clothes, so obviously they had some. But there's a lot of things that we think of as embarrassing and bad, that, or we think of as rude, or a lot of different things that they didn't have that back then. And you have to try to remember that when you think of a lot of these things.
has like a loincloth on. But no, that's not what really happened. He was completely naked before his accusers, and he bore our shame, which is it's unbelievable. And then you've got his mother and Mary and John at the foot of the cross, and they're going, they know he's God. That's the thing. Those three people, and even Peter knows, but Peter's, run away. I don't know the man. But John and the two Marys are there, and they are looking at him, and they're thinking, got to come down. And the crowd is going, he saved others. If you're the son of God, come down, come down. They're taunting him. The enemy, the dragon, figures, well, he's going to come down soon. How do you kill God? And that's what everybody's thinking. That's why the dragon, Satan, never saw it. Nobody saw it. And he dies. The God man, the body is in the tomb. He is dead. There's no doubt about it. The spirit goes in, he is dead. But where? That's the body, the spirit. Jesus' spirit, because he's fully God, goes where? He goes down to Tartarus. What's Tartarus? The place where the fallen angels have been kept since the flood and after the flood. That's the prison. And he goes, checkmate, you're not getting out. And that changes everything. That blows the whole dragon's deal right out of the water. We've heard this before. If the dragon had known, he never would have crucified the Lord of glory. But they don't understand the eight cushion shot. Most people don't get it. What really is
Thank you,
happening,
Frank.
because it's absolute profound. It's the most profound day, other than the resurrection, in all of history. Because how do you kill God?
I don't know if you could
Because
see
he's
this.
fully God and fully man, yet he dies.
Mhm. And
Here, I'll
Jesus
take it
died
off.
in our place for us, and he took our sin and our shame upon him so that we could be made forgiven. Our sins could be forgiven, and we could be in right relationship with God the Father. And praise
I bought the
Jesus
chain
that
at a
he
bike rally,
rose back to life, and that's where
and I bought the
we have an
necklace
image of that
separately.
shroud
You'd
of
never
when
know it
time
because it
stopped,
matches
and
perfectly.
that's where that came about. And there is proof of the
This is
resurrection
what I wear every day.
in many different
Right.
ways.
Yeah.
But all those who
And you know what?
all those who call
Sorry to interrupt.
all those who call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. And if that is you and you feel like you need to call upon the name of the Lord to be saved, call upon Jesus today. Believe in your heart, confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord and God raised him from the dead, and you shall be saved. And you can walk in that freedom and that liberty and that new life with him. And so, LA, it's always a pleasure to be able to talk with you about this. I know you're passionate about this. How can people see that film?
Well, if you want the DVD, you got to, it's $20. You go to lamarzulli.com. You can buy the DVD, but you can go to streaming, our streaming site, streaming.lamarzulli.net. And for $5, you can watch it. And you know what? You need to do your homework. I mean,
All right. Well, I've also been seeing a few of them pop up saying that they supposedly, and I don't see it right now, or we'd watch it. And I'm kind of curious. If I can find it, maybe we'll check it out, or I'll let you know what I find out. But supposedly they tested some of the blood that was on the shroud, or somehow tested DNA. They said that I think it said that they said alien DNA. Of course, that's the first thing. We don't know what alien DNA would be. That's the first thing you would think. And of course, it may not be, it probably wouldn't be normal, the way normal, regular human DNA would have been. Because if you think about it, there was not two parents. Well, I mean, there was, but wasn't. You know what I mean? So it probably wouldn't be normal, like quite normal, like human DNA. And the way I think of it, I'll always think of it as if we knew, like, what God and Jesus were exactly, if we were meant to know, first of all, if we were meant to know, we would know. And it's more than likely, it's not till we are there that we'll understand. When we get to heaven, if that's where you're going, or if you don't believe in it, okay, but I do. And I believe when you get there, everything will make sense. All the things you don't understand will come to light, and you will understand. And I believe more than likely, it's God is like a higher dimensional being, and you can't understand a lot of these things, that concepts he tries to explain in the Bible and through people back then. he was trying to explain in a way he thought we'd understand, because he literally couldn't tell us in a way we'd understand the things that he is capable of, where he's from. We would never understood. I always liked that. I had a pastor one time tell me, have you ever, can you imagine if somebody told you to teach algebra to an ant? You couldn't. There's just no, you'd have to try to figure out a way to communicate with it, or less so than an ant. Imagine trying to teach algebra to a dog. You might be able to get it to understand some things, but, or maybe to a chicken. They say you could teach chickens how to count sometimes, but the analogy is still the same. You can't make somebody understand something that they can't wrap their mind around. It's like when you talk about higher dimensions, we understand 3 dimensions. We're pretty sure there's a 4th dimension, or no, there is a 4th dimension. It's what is it? It's like space and time or something like that's the 4th dimension. Like we see in 3 dimensions, and then the 4th dimension, I think, is like space time. I'm saying this from what I think I remember. Don't quote me on any of this. This isn't fact. Okay. Now they're saying with quantum physics, okay, what I've seen is they think they've figured out a 5th dimension. But every dimension higher you go, there's quantitatively like huger, like things that we could never wrap our minds around. We're programmed to think a certain way, and because of what we've always known and always seen and always lived in, and we can't understand them higher dimensions. What's up, Tyler? Good to see you, man. Glad you stopped in. We was watching something about the Shroud of Turin. I think I seen videos before where they was teaching chickens to peck or count, like, and they like, I don't know for sure that they understood what they were doing. They probably didn't. But you could teach things to other animals to do things, but it's hard to do. But I've spent I spent a lot of time thinking about goofy, like nerdy stuff like that. I watch videos on quantum physics all the time, but trying to think of these other dimensions, it's really hard to wrap your mind around. But you got to remember, it wasn't that long ago, a few hundred years, or not a few hundred, but 300-400 years ago, they thought science was fucking alchemy. They thought it was magic, fuck. A lot of things, a lot of things have come through progress, and a lot of things we thought we'd never understand. Just imagine, almost all the scientific discovery we have, all the really cool things we have come in the last few hundred years, out of thousands of years humans have been here. Just imagine what the world's going to be like, and if we survive it, and if another 300-400 years, it's almost unfathomable to even think of that. For those of you that don't know, Tyler's got a good show. Go over to Tyler's show sometime. Subscribe to his channel. I watch him all the time. He does news. They very much align with a lot of the things that we think, and like I say, you don't have to think like more conservative to go over there. Just be respectful, and you'll enjoy it. It's a good show. People pop in there from time to time that, as long as you're not a total douchebag, and you're not like a real jerk, and you come in there but that's anywhere. You go in there and you be combative with people, they're not gonna welcome you. You know, come in, you be respectful. Same thing on here. You know, we get along with anybody that wants to come by. Just be respectful. Be sort of polite. You know, just don't come in calling people names and stuff like that. And all good. I personally I'm fucking really irritated with politics and the way things are going. I don't really say that I think Trump has betrayed us. I don't go that extreme. I understand why a lot of things are going on. I don't think we're getting the whole story, but do we ever? I don't think we're getting the whole story. I think there's a lot more to it than what we're being told. And I think now they're having a harder time covering up some of the stuff. Now that they shot down a fighter and different things, they're having to come up with some explanations. Personally, and you're probably not going to like this. Personally, I think we're kind of committed to it. And I think we just need to go over there. And a lot of people say no boots on the ground. Personally, I think that it's going to have to be that way. And we just need to go in there and just fucking do it. Stop dragging this bullshit out. Go in there, fucking run them over like a fucking bulldozer and be done with it. Stop this crazy ass doing shit the way we're half-ass doing things. That's been our MO. We can't fully commit to anything, so we half-ass everything, and that's why we have had such horrible fucking results. It probably wasn't the best way to go about things to begin with, or best reasoning, because we're not the world's police. We shouldn't. I mean, I feel for the Iranian people, but they gotta learn to do that shit themselves, you know. But once we commit to it and we say, you know what, we're gonna help them out. Plus, we did it for a multitude of reasons. Okay, it benefits. It ultimately will benefit our country. We were trying to help them out of it. You know, more than anything, it will benefit our country in the long run if we win. If we don't win, we come out, we look stupid, and things are going to tank. Our economy is going to start getting real shitty. The petrodollar is going to turn into shit. At any rate, my opinion is we just need to go over there and just fucking do it. Stop this half-ass, half committing to everything. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Go over there and fucking evacuate the fucking Iranian people and just fucking turn it into glass and send them back to it looking like Superman's glass crypto or glass, whatever the fuck that was, home that he had. They can all go back and glow in the dark. I don't give a shit. But at this point, I'm just tired of this whole fucking deal, man. I mean, if we didn't do something, it would have become a much bigger problem in the future. I understand the people who say America only, but it would have been a whole lot bigger problem if we'd waited and not done anything. A lot of this is the fault of just the passive policy that a lot of presidents have had of like Obama just paid him off. You know, this passive bullshit that we've been doing for years just festered it and allowed it to grow. And things have gotten horrible. I think we need to go over there and put an end to it. Stop dragging the shit out by half-assing it. Anyway, I'm going on an hour. I try to keep it around an hour. I gotta go get a haircut. I'm past due, as you can see. I'm starting to look like a fucking mountain man. I get my hair buzzed off, and then I trim the beard up and everything all at the same time. And in between haircuts, everything starts getting real long, and I start looking shaggy. That's when you could tell. I give the wife the buzzers and put an attachment on it and say, there you go. Then I start trimming everything else up. So, but I'm past due. I'm starting to look like a fucking mountain man. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm a professional. I work in an office. I got to at least look a little bit trimmed up and decent. Plus, I got an interview this week. Wish me luck. On Friday, I got a concert. I'm going to go see Mark Chestnut, if anybody even remembers who he is. But he had a lot of hits back in the 90s. I'm going to go see Mark Chestnut on Thursday. And then I'm off on Friday. And then I got an interview on Friday. So hopefully that'll go well. Because this is if things work out, it'll be a really good opportunity. And if you can't tell, sometimes I'm more of a hands-on, a doer. I have a hard time sometimes putting things into words. And I'm not real good at selling myself. An interview is selling yourself, and I'm not the best at that. Hopefully it goes well. The first interview went well. So we'll see. At any rate, remember, happy Easter. I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you very much for stopping by the show. At the end, watch the credits at the end. There are some shout outs to certain channels. Go subscribe to those channels. Excellent, all excellent channels. Oh, and FYI, for those of you that know Redneck Side, he's hitting the road and he's dissolving his business. And I was going to try to buy the business off of him, but he's not. He said he's got some debt and stuff involved, which that's okay. I mean, I thought about talking to Mike and seeing if Mike, that's all you're selling basically is the name. He said, oh, you'd be better off getting a new name. I said, that's where all the value is at. You have an established name, Redneck Side Motorcycle Whips. People know it. I said, buy the name. Do the same thing, but by the name. At any rate, I got to do a new ending. And if anybody wants their channel added to the list of my favorite channel, I'll do that if I like your channel. I don't just shout out people for shits and giggles. I only shout out channels I really do and watch and enjoy. So give those channels a like. I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you. And I'll see you next Sunday. God bless and happy Easter.
The echoes fade, the mic runs cold, the session's done, the raw truth told. Another blessing through the wire, fueled by that 1% of fire. You've heard the facts, you've seen the signs. Hard wires cut between the lines for the insane Wheels family, and none who dare to see. You are hitting it with hard wire till the final crashing beat. Yeah, hitting it with hard wire. Truth and power can't be beat. A massive thanks for watching, for tuning in and being real. From hitting it with HardWire, know exactly how we feel. The world keeps spinning, news keeps breaking. No time for sleep, no time for faking. He'll be back here, same damn place, to stare the chaos in the face. Keep your eyes